it is very common for businesses to experience a slowdown in summer. Clients and customers often unplug during the summer. Dip in engagement, a dip in sales, right? The good news is there's still plenty of time to ramp up and have a phenomenal rest of the year. If you are beating yourself up for summer, if you're saying, I wish I wouldn't have done this, or I wish I would have been more prepared, remember, we're taking the data and we're leaving the drama. Summer is over. You're not beating yourself up. You don't have time to waste on what you should have done. Like, I'm the visionary, right? So what is the vision? Where do I want to go? How can we all be really happy and we all make lots of money? I'm always growing. I do sit and reflect and ask myself, how big do I really want to get? How to finish the year strong in your small business. Now, my intent with this training is to help you kind of reset after summer. But if you're listening to this at a different time of year, this is going to be really good for anybody who is really trying to make sure that they're looking at their goals, understanding, are we going to hit them? Are we going to surpass them? Are we failing miserably, right? And what do we do? So that's what a summer reset is. It is something that can be done at any time, but it definitely should be one of those times a year, should be during summer. All right. So welcome back to Well-Oiled Operations. Today, we're going to be discussing really how to regain that momentum and finish strong after summer break. So it is very common for businesses to experience a slowdown in summer. All right. If you've slowed down and you need a boost to get back on track, you are not alone. They say over 66% of businesses experience a sales slump during the summer season. Now, I didn't say 100%, right? Some of you take off in summer and you just could use a good break, right? Some of us, our businesses are a little bit more seasonal and summer dies down. So in both of my businesses, summer is the slower months. I will say in my studio, we drastically drop. I mean, like probably 20% of the kids stay in summer, 80% leave. Okay. It is drastic. We have had to completely rework our business model to make sure that we can sustain from just 10 months of the year so that when those 2 months drop, we're good to go. It took me many years to learn how to do that, but we figured it out. In Well-Oiled, we have a little dip, not an 80% dip, thank goodness. But it's still a dip and it's still something we have to prepare for. Okay. So this period can be super challenging, but I do want to share that and be open and vulnerable because I need you to know that if that's happening to you, there's nothing wrong with your business, right? It might just be how your business looks. Now, I do want to say we're trying to outperform our summer every year. We play full out to get that number just 1% better, 2% better. Okay. So don't give up, but just know it could be very normal in your specific industry. Okay. Now, what I want to share is that clients and customers often unplug during the summer. Right? So that could lead to a dip in engagement, a dip in sales, right? The good news is there's still plenty of time to ramp up and have a phenomenal rest of the year. Okay. So I want to dive into some tips, some tricks, some action items to help you regain that momentum and achieve the goals you originally set to achieve. Okay. So the first step is we revisit and realign your goals. So go back and review. If you aren't constantly looking at your numbers, you might not even remember what you said you wanted to do. Okay. If that's you, then you must not be inside of Well-Oiled because your same pager should have those goals right in front of you and you should be staring at them on a daily, at a minimum, a weekly basis. So we don't forget our goals inside of Well-Oiled. Okay. If you're forgetting your goals, I really want you to pause because that should be something so ingrained in you. Okay. So step one is let's just review. What did we say back in maybe December or January when we were setting our goals? What did we say we wanted to do by the end of the year? Okay. And the question I first ask is, how on track are we? Okay. So let's say I happen to do this in July or in August and September. Maybe you're listening in October. I'm literally taking what I wanted to do, right? Divided by 12 months, times it by whatever month we're in. Okay. So if you want to hit $1 million, divide that by 12. I think it's like 73,000, right? And then from there, or maybe 83,000, it's one of those numbers. And then from there, you multiply it times, okay, it's June. We should be at least this far. It's August. We should at least be 8 months of that money in. That's how you're going to know, are we in alignment or not? Now, here's something else to consider. If a bulk of your income comes in Q4, right? If a bulk of your income comes in from September through December, you might not be on track because it might not be a perfect divide by 12, right? So take that into consideration. So one of the things that I'm doing is I am already looking at, okay, by the end of August, where are we? What is left in my goal? Okay. So if I'm trying to aim for 3 million, right? And I'm at 1.8, I'm saying, okay, what do I have to do in 4 months to get that remaining 1.2 million? Okay. So I'm really just working the math and I'm just asking myself, where am I at? Right. It's so important to know, where are you at? The amount of times a client doesn't want to fully share where they're at, maybe they're embarrassed, maybe they don't know, maybe they haven't looked at the numbers, right? We always say to them, it's like you're telling me I want to go to California, but you won't tell me if you're in Texas or you're in Wisconsin, right? And those paths to California are very, very different, right? So we need to know, where in the world are we? Are we profiting? Are we negative? Are we surpassing last year like crazy? Are we missing the mark, right? So these are just things I'm thinking about. Now, something else to consider is I am a very big goal setter. Like I set extreme goals, which is one of the reasons we've hit the Inc. 5000. I'm pretty sure we're going to hit it again this year. We 5x'd our revenue when we applied. So we're looking pretty good. So what happens sometimes is I look at the goal we set, and if we're not on track, I'm like, oh, we're losing. But if I look at last year's numbers and I look at this year's numbers, I'm like, whoa, we're up, right? So be careful. If you're like me, don't just look at the goal, look at where you were last year, right? Because sometimes you are winning and you're not giving yourself credit. I was actually listening to somebody and he said, we've been doubling our revenue like every year and now we're more stable. And I wanted to hit 20% this year and we're only growing by 5%. And he was like very sad about it, right? And I'm like, hold up, let's go back. Let's look at last year at this time. You're making more money. You're just as profitable, right? And you're sad. Like we have to really put this into perspective. So I want you really understanding the data. Okay. Now, step one is about data without drama. If you go, oh my goodness, we are so far off. We are never going to hit our goals. What were we thinking? How did I mess up? How could we be here at the end of August? Like whatever you're saying to yourself, that drama is not going to help you hit your goals. Okay. So trust me, when I have a team member in a mindset funk, like they're just like kind of getting negative talk, all that talk that you do to yourself that you shouldn't be, right? The worst thing I can do is start laying into them on their numbers being off and their KPIs being missed. They know, like they're aware, they're already really down, right? So don't do that to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Okay. So review the goals, get the data, leave the drama. Okay. Now, this is another thing I want you to do as well when you're looking at this, especially if this could go either way. It could be you're not even close to being on track, you're way over track, whatever it is, okay? I want you to remember why you said that, why you picked that goal, and does that goal still feel right? Okay? Sometimes, like I'm always growing. So I don't know what that number feels like. When I say I want a $10 million business, I want to scale to 20 million at some point, right? When I say these things, that's from Stacy, who's only made 5.5 million in a year in one business, right? I don't know what those numbers feel like. So I do sit and reflect and ask myself, how big do I really want to get? Or at least how fast, right? Because maybe I absolutely want to take this to 20, 30 million, but do I need to do it by next year? No, I like my life too much right now to like completely blow it up. So I'm not saying don't lower the revenue, but maybe you move the timeline out. Maybe you're hating your life right now and you are not interested in scaling to the triple, whatever you said, right? Maybe you realize, wow, I would love if it was really just X with this, like this revenue, with this profit margin, with this much of my time in the business, like that actually feels better than what I thought back in December I wanted life to look like, right? Now reality has set in. So I'm only telling you to rearrange your goal if it doesn't feel in alignment. Don't scrap it because you're giving up or you don't think it's possible or fill in the blank, right? I am saying sometimes what we thought we wanted, we don't actually want. And there is no reason to continue to strive towards that because you said it in December. You can change your mind. right? You can tell the team why you've changed your mind. It's completely fine. So I just want to make sure you know that is a possibility. Okay. So now you know the numbers, you know the data, you're refiguring out where do I want to go from here. So step 2 is actually strategic planning and the execution piece. All right. So what I like to do when I'm planning is I like to step back for a minute. Okay. I don't want to be too close to it. I don't want to just be looking at this month, this quarter, or the remaining of this year. I'm actually asking myself, big picture, what am I building? Like big picture, 3 years from now, what does my life look like? What do I want it to look like? What would be really nice? Right. So for me, one of the things I'd been thinking about is we were at 5.5 million, very profitable in 2023. Like, wow, like we did numbers I didn't even know were possible. We also paid a lot of money in taxes because I never made that kind of money. Okay. And when I'm sitting here thinking now, I'm like, what's the real number I would want with the profit margin, with the team, with how much time do I want to pour in? And I realize it's not so much about the big revenue number. It's about keeping the profit at a specific number that feels really good to me, but also fixing the working too much in 2023. I could not keep up with 2023. I don't want to go back to that. Like that was a lot. What I would love to do is repeat that year with me having leaders, which we do now, that I get my time back. Like that actually feels amazing. If you gave me a repeat of 2023, but with leaders helping me, life is great. Now, those leaders cost money. So I can't say, okay, 5.5 million is the goal again, right? I need to at least recoup like their salaries. So I'm already looking at, okay, well, what if 6 million, what if 7 million felt amazing, right? Looking at that. Now, I can see where we're on track. I can see where we're trending. I don't know that we're going to hit that $10 million goal. However, I don't know that I want it right this second. And that's where I really want you thinking about what does the future look like? What would I like my life to look like, right? So this is the kind of stuff that I'm having before I meet up with my leaders, right? Before I tell my team, I'm asking, like I'm the visionary, right? So what is the vision? Where do I want to go? How can we all be really happy and we all make lots of money, right? I want to make sure that that's the team that I'm building as well. So where are you going to be 3 years from now? What do you want your life to look like? Why do you want it to look like that? Okay. So with that said, just really start planning big picture. The next thing I want you thinking about as you're doing your reset is I want you to look at like pending tasks, open projects. Okay. What are we working on right now? And I want you to ask yourself, are they worth finishing? Which ones are? And which one should just be on hold or stopped immediately? Sometimes when we reset, our tasks are no longer in alignment with our goals. And I really want you thinking right now, do the tasks I have on my plate, the items I have on my calendar, are they in alignment with where I want to head? Okay. And that may change. Why are we doing this? Oh my goodness, why are we spending this much time over here? Right. And you might start to completely scrap. Now, I do this every single quarter. So please make sure you're really reassessing your calendar, your goals, and asking yourself, where are we heading? Okay. Then after I'm looking at what are we scrapping? What are we pausing? What stays? Right. I start to really create this Q4 plan. Now, for me, my Q4 for me really is September through December. Okay. I plan both businesses as a September through December because it is just different. My businesses are like on a rocket ship in those months, right? Everybody wants to get back to dance classes. They want to sign back up for music. Everybody in the business world is like, oh my goodness, I have been slowing down in summer a little bit and I really want to finish the year strong, right? We are on a rocket ship in both businesses. So we are holding on for dear life, right? So I want you thinking about what is the Q4 plan? And your Q4 plan might be September through December, which is why I purposely put this episode in August, because you should already be thinking about it now, right? What do we need? What do we need to do? Who do we need to hire? Who am I missing on my team? What's the plan, right? The plan, the people, the process. Do I need to hire a coach? Do I need to get a consultant? Like what does that look like specifically? All right. And then that last piece is really getting inspired and getting moving. So when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling complacent, you're truly just sitting here, right? You're sitting here procrastinating. You're not really moving forward and you've got to get the momentum back. So I always use the analogy of if you work out and you've stopped working out for a really long time, man, that first workout to get back into it is so hard, right? It is so hard just to like get up and get going because it's just not your norm anymore. And for some of you, you have been taking a break, right, all summer long, and you got to just get back and get back up. And how do we do that? So you may need a little new inspiration. You may need a new routine, right? You might want to wake up a little earlier and get moving, get listening to a podcast, jump into an online course. You might need to get inspiration because you might be thinking, I don't even know where to go from here, right? So surround yourself with people, get in a program, join a mastermind, get around others that are moving and cruising towards the end of the year. The next piece I want you thinking about is understanding you may need to ramp up your efforts. Okay. So look for where you can improve your workflow, look for inefficiencies, look for ways to streamline, right? Automate, look for things you can start delegating to other people, right? You really have to prioritize. If you're feeling behind, this is where you really want to ask yourself, what are my main priorities? How can I get everything else off of my plate? Okay. Then I will say too, you want to make sure you are focusing on progress. Celebrate the small wins to maintain that motivation. Each step forward is progress. If you are beating yourself up for summer, if you're saying, I wish I wouldn't have done this, or I wish I would have been more prepared, or remember, we're taking the data and we're leaving the drama. Summer is over. You're not beating yourself up. You don't have time to waste on what you should have done. Okay. We are in the now. We are moving forward. The last thing I want you thinking about too is if you need a quick cash injection, all right? A lot of businesses, I work with lots of businesses and lots of industries all over the world. And there are a lot of people that are talking, right, in our forums in August that start to say, what do? I need to make money and I need to make it now. Okay. So I'm going to give you 4 quick tips of how do we get the momentum going if you're looking for momentum in sales. All right. So number 1, re-engage your current customers. All right. Send targeted emails to current customers, previous customers, right? What are exclusive offerings, exclusive deals, personalized recommendations? Don't mass blast everybody. Literally think of your best people and individually email, text, pick up the phone. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is really optimize your online presence. Go look real quick at your social. Especially if you've been slowing down or taking off and your social's not looking great, or you started posting more personal stuff because that's what you were doing all summer. Your audience might be a little confused what's going on. All right. So go check your website, go check your social media platforms that you're on, right? Produce some fresh content, produce timely content. I'll share more about that in a minute. All right. Then number 3, use that data to guide your strategy. So analyze your sales data from summer to identify trends, to adjust. Go look at last summer and this summer. Start to compare those numbers, right? Again, it feels like, oh my goodness, things aren't going well. And then you're like, wait, we're bigger than last year, right? That's a win. You want to celebrate that. All right. So focus on your highest performing products and customer segments. And then the last piece of this is create urgency with limited time offers and flash sales and promote these aggressively through social, through email, all of the things. So think of what you can do to be trendy in this moment. So if you're listening in real time, end of summer sales, back to school, fall initiatives, right? Like fall is coming up, pumpkins, right? Like think what could I be talking about? So if you're listening in December, what is the main theme now? If you're listening in February, right? Trust me, there is always something going on for you to have a flash sale, an urgency. Go look up like whatever the national day is today, National Donut Day, and right, whatever it is, right? So as you start to learn about this, create something that feels like, hey, it's now and it ends in 48 hours, right? That will get people moving. Urgency is huge. Okay. Now, the last piece I want to share is to really help encourage and empower you. So first, I want you to ask yourself, how are you feeling, right? And what healthy habits do you need to start incorporating? Meaning, are you in a little bit of a mindset funk, right? Maybe summer's been really fun and there's been a lot of bad habits that have started, right? How can you start to turn those habits around, start to get more of a routine? We truly, like humans, thrive off of routine. Children thrive off of routine. Like we do, right? So how can you get back into a routine now? Okay. And then the last thing I want to say in this part is take a much needed break if you haven't already. So I'm talking about the person that's been slowing down in summer. But I know that somebody listening has been working their butt off in summer. And if that's you, maybe take a weekend, maybe take a day, right? Do what you need to do, but give yourself time to breathe. Whenever I go on vacation, I come home with so many ideas because I've just given myself space to breathe, right? I've given myself space to create, to dream, to think. Give yourself space if you've taken summer to work the entire time. All right, so I want to hear from you. How was your summer? Comment below and tell me, what does summer look like for you? So if you're watching on YouTube, comment below. If you're listening to the podcast, I would love for you to have this conversation over on Instagram. DM me at Stacy Tushel and let me know, what did it look like? Does summer take a break? Are you in the 66% that slow down? Or are you in the opposite where, man, business takes off and you need a little break after August? I would love to hear. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to get notifications so you don't miss another episode. And then to wrap up here, I really want to make sure that you understand, no matter when you're hearing this, no matter what the date is, no matter what your goals are and where you're actually trending, it is never too late to get back on track. You have set this imaginary number you pulled out of thin air and wrote it down on a piece of paper and said, by December 31st, I want to hit this. And I always tell people, we don't even have a rhyme or reason sometimes when we pick that number. We just pick it, right? And then we get so upset and we don't hit it. Start fresh. Like, today is about resetting. Today is about re-looking at numbers. Where do I want to go? Why do I want to go there? Right? And what do I need to do in whatever period of time, right? So if you're listening to this in December, great, use it for next year, right? This is a perfect opportunity, no matter when, to reset, realign, and refocus. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will see you next time.